All right, and we are live. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, guys. I'm Joshua Paul, Marketing Director for SampleServe. I have with us today Russell Finley, who's CEO and founder of SampleServe. Russell has over 30 years experience in the environmental consulting, managing environmental consulting firms. And also I have Paul Goodrow, founder of Enoran Partners, helping businesses navigate the environmental industry. They have a combined 75 years experience in the environmental services industry. And today they would like to share with you their insights on employee expectations in 2023. Keep in mind if you have any questions or inputs, thoughts, enter them in the chat and we'll get to them along the process of the webinar. And we'll have a Q&A at the end as well. So I'm going to let you guys take it away. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I don't mean to correct you, Josh, but it's actually a combined 85 years experience.
I didn't want to date you that bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not real helpful, Josh. Right? I look at you, and you're one of those young and early career developers, and 85 years or 80 years seems like a lot of experience. But regardless, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for everybody's time. I know your time is precious. As Josh said, I come from the environmental consulting and engineering industry, and I realize that you're under a lot of pressure to generate your utilization, your charge hours, and revenue for the company. So thank you for your time. This is scheduled for about, we'll probably run a half an hour. We really want to encourage questions as we go along. So if you don't mind, send Josh a note. He'll read them off to us, and Josh, interrupt us anytime you think you'd like to. So go ahead. So next slide, Russell.
Okay.
So we started this webinar series in December, and we really, I've been working with Russell and the SampleServe team for about 2 years now, and I met them originally when I was developing a proposal from one of our clients 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. And the proposal was to really conduct a long-term 7-year contract for routine sampling and maintenance oversight of over 500 facilities. And SampleServe was a perfect fit for that because as you'll see, it automates a lot of the in-field activities as well as the chain of custody, the lab acceptance, and maybe most importantly, the back end and the reporting. But as I've been working with SampleServe, I really realized that there's features and functionalities that all software has. They're different, of course, but software inherently has features and functionalities. But at the same time, they have business benefits. Depending on the software, it's going to affect your business differently. And in order to really justify the implementation of a lot of digital solutions today, you have to be responsive to the business case. And so in December, we started a 4 or 5-part series. The first one was just kind of an overview. But since December, we've given 2, and this is the third webinar regarding the business case. The first one is how do you organically grow your revenue through use of digital solutions? Secondly, how do you improve your margins or profitability? And this third one is around employee satisfaction. We'll have another one in April, which will talk about your strategic solutions. So as a company, many of your companies already have strategic imperatives around digital portfolios and developing digital solutions for your customers. So if you'd like to go to the next slide. And Josh, I know these are on YouTube, the previous 2, I assume are on YouTube, right? The previous webinars?
Yes, and they're further down on the LinkedIn profile too if you're watching on LinkedIn, or you can just type in SampleServe and our page will show up.
So again, just to paint back on the wall a little bit, the last seminars were around selling more work, converting more work to revenue, and enhancing your profitability. And we see those as obviously things that your digital solutions must provide in order to really justify bringing on a new system or a new partner and a new solution. Next slide. So today what I wanted to do was take a look at, okay, well, let's say we can improve our sales and convert more revenue and make more money. How do digital solutions or technology help you enhance your employee workforce? How does it help you recruit more employees, retain employees, and develop them? And so I really believe that the use of technology can help you differentiate and engage your employees. And I also believe that it depends on which one you're trying to impact. Is it around recruiting? Is it about retention, or is it about development? And each one of them requires different tactics, and we'll go through different ways you can enhance those elements of your workforce by using digital solutions. Next slide. So first of all, recruiting. You know, the question I'd have is your company likable? And, you know, I've been working with a lot of younger employees or newer employees in their careers. And one of the things employees want is they want to join likable companies. They want to join companies where they believe in the brand and the mission and the values. They hear a lot from current and former employees. It's pretty easy to get feedback on the company from either current or former employees. They rely on that a lot to make their decision regarding joining a company. They want to be in a workforce that is flexible, or they have freedom to be in locations, et cetera. They want projects and roles and experiences that are attractive to them. They want to have a better life-work balance. They want challenges and opportunities. And maybe most of all, they want to join a team that's innovative and creates solutions. And I did a little work on what the top most admired careers are, and fortunately, engineering is one of the 5 top most admired industries or careers. And why? Because engineers innovate improvements in our lives. So think about that. You are in an industry that is attractive, which has a high regard from a career development standpoint, and provides a place for new employees to join. And for you now, it's for you to create your value proposition and how you bring that to market. So how do you do that? How do you present yourself to the market? I think technology and the use of applications makes your company more attractive. These 3 slides, 2 of them are from current customers of ours. One top left is Jeff Albee from Stantec, receiving an award for his digital solutions. You know, those companies that advertise digital solutions, that integrate them into their practices, and that are recognized by their peers in their industry will attract employees. The second one is SEH, and also a client of ours. And, you know, they're focused on what's important to them. They're focused on stewardship issues. They're focused on STEM and providing opportunities for young professionals to develop their careers. You know, in addition, companies or employees are looking for innovation and teamwork, and that's very important. So the bottom line, I think, in the recruiting is, are you likable, and can you attract new employees through the use of your digital solutions, either by using them to present yourself to the market, as many of these companies do, or using them internally to create more innovative solutions where people are attracted to your company. Next slide. So let's talk about retention. And I'm sorry about this chart. Josh Boss, remind me, we need to make that chart bigger sometime. But anyways, the gist of it is that your employees will proceed through their career life cycle in a somewhat predictable manner. And the question is, do you understand where your employee is in their career life cycle? And do you understand what they need, what they value, and what they need for support? You know, today, it's really important to demonstrate to employees that you're supportive of them, not only in their current role, but in future roles in the company. And, you know, reason why people leave, if you look at the top reasons why people leave, it's because there's no career growth, there's poor management or leadership, compensation is poor, there's poor work balance, and maybe poor workplace culture. As an industry, we probably average 15 to 20% of voluntary turnover. Those are people who just get up and leave. And so that's a real disruptive force in the workplace. not only for the teams and the people we manage, but also the company itself. And so there are certain life cycle stages where I think are super critical to demonstrate your commitment to your employees. Today you're hiring Gen Zs, actually. The 18 to 25-year-olds are coming into the workforce today. Imagine what technology and digital applications they've already undertaken. Now, I hate to date myself, but I didn't have a cell phone when I entered the workforce. So imagine now someone entering the workforce with all the digital solutions and technologies that have surrounded them since they were born. You have to respond to that. If you can't keep up with those technologies in the workplace, you're not going to be too likable. You're not going to be very innovative. You're not going to be attractive to a lot of new employees. Now, the tough part comes, and I put this in the next two phases of the career life cycle. I call it the employer danger zone. A lot of people leave companies, the millennials and the Gen X's, in this period where they're exploring their workforce, they're exploring their culture, they're exploring opportunities and career paths within the company. And again, providing those opportunities for people is super important. And how do you do that? Well, my belief is that technologies allow people to develop themselves into areas that, one, makes them much more effective and efficient. You have a 5-year employee in your organization, they're still filling out forms, you're going to have a problem. 5-year employees don't want to fill out forms anymore, at least on paper with pen. I never did, and I'm sure people who are born with technology today don't appreciate that much either. So technology can help you make people more efficient. It shows a commitment from management and leadership to try new things, to work in different ways, right? Your managers are probably more or less either millennials or baby boomers. Think of that. If you're not introducing technology into the workforce, what does that say about your leadership and your management? You have to encourage new ways of doing business. So I think technology does that. Another thing that technology does is it allows people to engage in enterprise level deployments and solutions. Many of the technologies today are available across practices, across offices, across clients. There's no reason why people who are very effective and efficient in some technologies can deploy those across the company, across geographies, across clients, or across projects. So technology allows people to play in a bigger world, allows them to work across different parts of your business and keeps them engaged in the business. And lastly, I think technology helps you develop what I call knowledge workers, right? Again, if you're filling out a form, you're not really challenging yourself to come up with creative and new ways of doing business. So the last thing I think technology does along the career life cycle and promotes career development is promotes people to solving more complex problems. So next slide. This graphic is super small, and I apologize, but it gets to the point graphically where I want to be in this discussion is, what are you doing to develop your employees? There are a lot of things you can do, right? Career pathing, new assignments and opportunities, coaching and mentoring, technology and information, team building, leadership development. There are a lot of things that we can do to develop our employees in the workforce with a goal of what? To me, the goal is to create a workforce or a knowledge worker or workers who are creating new ideas, new products and new services, are taking data and making decisions and solving complex problems, right? So how do you do that most effectively? Well, you provide the basic stuff, the administrative detail for those employees. You aggregate that information, you produce it in a form that's legible and consolidated and provides information to make decisions, and you get the brain power behind those solutions. So again, I think technology eliminates redundancy, removes standard work processes, it simplifies the work process, and allows employees to focus on the solutions, not the data. So again, I think there are three things when I look at the employee satisfaction, and I look at it both from the employee standpoint and from the firm standpoint. You need to recruit, you need to retain, and you need to develop. And how does technology do that? And how does it allow you to do that over time? So Russell, the next slide is really my last slide, and I really would encourage any questions now or later. But again, looking at technology, there's some direct corollaries on, technology and employee satisfaction. Many of these are indirect corollaries, meaning that there are parts of the organization that you're affecting with technology that results in employee recruiting, retention, and development. But in summary, for me, it's about positioning yourself with a compelling employee value proposition. You saw some of the photos in that one slide about people receiving recognition or promoting STEM or demonstrating their drone technology. That's all over LinkedIn right now. I encourage you to follow a few companies that you think are competitors or maybe are within the industry, and look at the way they promote their technologies. And a lot of those are not really client-centered promotions. Many of them around employee workforce promotions, meaning we're branding ourselves as an innovative, creative, technology-led company. So that's really around recruitment. The second thing is make a commitment to understand where your employees are in their career life cycle and offer them opportunities. Again, I believe that the opportunities you can offer people is to migrate these employees, your employees, to more knowledge workers, meaning migrating them to positions that allows them to integrate the data and make decisions and solve complex problems. And then the last two things are, hire, encourage a workforce ready and attracted to smart solutions. Probably not too difficult right now. If you're hiring a Gen Z, you're probably hiring someone who already is interested in, informed, and willing to take on new technologies. The challenge is maybe within the organization that is maybe slow to adopt technologies by their peers or by their managers. So, hire those people who are able and willing and interested in accelerating the use of technologies, and be sure your company culture, your management and leadership are preparing for change as well. And the last thing is support your digital workers. It's kind of maybe an easy thing to say, but, I know that, as managers and leaders, we tend to get set in our ways a bit. And, it's amazing to me the technology that's available for everybody to use to do their job. Think of pre-COVID 2 years ago, maybe it's 3 years now, would we have been doing so much webinar work, internet chat-based work? Probably we weren't. Our meetings were not being held over the internet. What happened? You can engage more people, and I think become more efficient by using Teams or Google Meets or other technologies. So sometimes there's something that clicks and requires us to change, but not always. And so as managers, as leaders, supporting the digital workers, especially the new career developers, is ultimately very important. So with that, I'll wrap up. And I know Russell has a few things to say about SampleServe and how it can help as a solution. But I'll pass it over to you, Russell.
Great. Thanks, Paul. So obviously I'm going to talk a little bit about SampleServe, but I also want to say how, technology is just changing even more rapidly than it has in the past. And I think it's going to accelerate. Everyone's heard of ChatGPT and OpenAI. That stuff is just, it's going to multiply the rate of change and development that if you're not embracing digital technologies now, you better very quickly, because you will be left in the dust. And then hiring employee, especially young employees coming out. I go to a lot of trade shows and, industry events, golf outings, that kind of stuff. And I meet a lot of young people, and the young people, because we're a technology company, they kind of, are naturally attracted to come and find out what we're doing. Whereas the older people necessarily aren't necessarily as interested. But if you're trying to grow your company and attract new employees, which are mostly going to be young people, you better be using technology, because that's what they're interested in. They understand that that's the future. If you're paying attention to technology at all, it is the future, and you better be doing that. So, but the SampleServe obviously is a technology company. We help you collect environmental samples and do your environmental work, regardless of what it is, a lot more efficiently. We've got digital chain of custody for collecting samples using mobile devices, recording everything. So if you haven't checked it out, you just go to sampleserve.com and you'll see we've got several different products that service different types of users and different types of sample collection. And if you have any questions, we would love to be able to help you out there. I think, Paul, you're going to talk about the next steps here, our next seminar a little bit.
Well said, Russell. I think, when I look at developing a portfolio of solutions, if you're doing a lot of field work where you're gathering data primarily around environmental media, water, waste, air, soil, etc., SampleServe is a great solution for you, because what it does is it puts a scope of work immediately into your field technicians' hands. Your field technicians can collaborate with each other and with their project team instantaneously. It creates a digital chain of custody, no paper, prints its label, no paper, goes to the lab, transacts the lab intake digitally, provides output through our cloud, and produces graphs and figures and charts. This is all digital. You do not have to touch a piece of paper. Now, I know, Russell, you and the team have created shortcuts or loops, I guess, where you can print along the way.
Yep.
But ideally, it's set up where there's no paper.
Yeah.
And you think about that, it's pretty alarming. So I will have to just think about that. But anyways, SampleServe is one solution. I think when it comes to looking at setting up your portfolio, there's some things to look at. One is to understand your client's digital assets. Your clients have assets, digital assets that they need to maintain, likely at the enterprise level. They may have an environmental database that they need to support. They may have a compliance database they need to support. They may have an operational maintenance and engineering database. Regardless, your clients have digital technologies and assets that you need to be aware of before you can implement your own. The second thing is digital solutions tend to force simplicity. So I think we have a tendency, at least I know I did when I was in the industry, of making things more complicated than necessary. The field of environmental science is always evolving. There's always new solutions. But I think it's beneficial to look at those work processes and develop routine work activities for those that you can. It does a lot of good for a lot of reasons. It simplifies the workflow for efficiency. It reduces the cost, and it improves the accuracy of the process itself. Thirdly, simplified work products obviously lead to maybe more challenging commercial models or frameworks. If you can simplify a work process, you can make it routine. You can use a fixed price lump sum type contract, which may allow you then to remove labor costs and use technology in order to generate more profitability, which tends to be our largest issue, I would say, Russell, right, is selling into the environmental consulting engineering field, is that our technology, or really any technology by definition, reduces labor cost.
Our biggest enemy is the time and materials bill by the hour business model.
Right. So, technology in itself is not to solve all, but if you do use it, you're acquainted with it, you're efficient with it, it allows you to take on other scopes and other contract terms. And then the last thing I'd say is, seek out and implement client-facing digital solutions. All companies have what I would call enterprise or back office solutions, accounting, finance, HR, IT. There's always a lot of activity in businesses to increase the effectiveness of the business, of the corporate functions or the support functions of the business. But today's world, that's not enough. There's those internal digital solutions don't really accelerate the business. They may make it more efficient, but in order to accelerate the business, either in the form of revenue or profit or just market share, the client-facing solutions are what are going to do that. And so that's also important. And this leads into our next seminar, and it's really around how do you do this? How do you create a digital portfolio of solutions? Secondly, do you build it? Do you buy it? And thirdly, how do you develop digital partnerships with firms like SampleServe or others who can help you design, develop, and deliver digital solutions? So I think, Josh, you're going to get a meeting invitation for that, but stay tuned. We're going to be talking about developing digital portfolios for our next seminar.
Exactly. And just keep in mind, anybody, if you have any input or questions, put them in the chat. Paul, I wanted to ask you real quick. I know you, as you spent a lot of time helping consulting firms navigate the industry, and you've had to have ran into a couple firms that were just kind of slow to the game on adapting the newest trends in technology. And what kind of impacts did you see on a firm that would just be slow to the game?
Yeah, I'm working with 3 companies right now that I've led through a strategic planning sessions, and they've all taken a different position on digital solutions. So one position is our digital solutions are going to be internally focused. We got a lot of work just to get our accounting, finance, HR, IT systems together. So for our first year and a half, Paul, really thanks for telling me about seeking digital solutions for client facing, but we got enough to do. We're gonna focus internally on our systems, which that's the decision they've made. The second company has said, we're gonna do that, but it's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen through our practice areas. Our practice areas, whether it's environmental or infrastructure or water resources, you name them, they're going to develop their digital solutions by practice, and it's more of an organic approach to those systems. And the third company has said, we want digital solutions to be a service line. So we think it has enough potential change in our business that we're going to create a service line like civil engineering or geotech or water resources or environmental. That's going to be called digital solutions. And those digital solutions will represent some portion. This company picked 10%, 15% of the revenue in 5 years. And so they're actively pursuing both external solutions and internal solutions to bring to the customer. So I don't know if that answers your question, Josh, but there is a wide range of really response to the digital technology market by those 3 companies. One said we're focusing internal, the other one said they'll come through our practice, and the third said we're building a service line to put focus and commitment behind it. And I don't know which one's going to win the race. They're all very good companies, and they all have their own strategy and that fits within where they want to go. I'm rooting for the one that's created as a service line because I think they'll be a little more innovative and creative in the way they approach their technologies.
Yeah, I agree. I know a lot of firms right now, they have previous experience with adopting new software and changing systems over, and they've had bad experiences because the software can be clunky, hard to learn, and expensive. And Russell, with taking on SampleServe as their digital solution, what are the costs involved, and how long does it take to get started?
So the cost to get started with us is literally zero. You can actually go in and download our apps, get signed up as a project management tool. The cost is really just your time, and the time investment for the average person getting started in our project or in our platform is about 4 to 6 hours. That's it. So within if you started today, you could be using our platform in a very competent manner by tomorrow. So it's a really simple platform to learn and to use. It's younger people in particular, they're usually the ones out in the field. They're able to literally, we've got one client who just said, I'm like, hey, I'd be happy to do some training for your people. And he's like, I gave them the tablet, gave them a login, and they went out there and just started using it. They were able to figure it out. So, the sign of a good software is that it requires very little training. It's just in the industry, they call it intuitive. The user experience is such that it's just natural that you can figure it out just by using it. So, which is how most software is these days. So,
right. And you mentioned that, like, especially like new hires, younger crowd, they kind of just take it on almost immediately.
Yeah,
and
they grew up using mobile devices. So,
and in their education as well, there's a whole new generation of new candidates for employees coming out of colleges and universities. I know SampleServe is being used right now in a few universities.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, how would you feel if you were a new candidate coming into the workforce that learned on digital tools, entering the workforce and potentially ending up at a firm that does not use digital tools? Do you think
where they're making you fill out paper forms or yellow field books? Yeah. I've literally had people, the younger people, as I mentioned earlier, that I meet out at different industry events where they're like, yeah, I can't believe they're not using digital tools. Like we go here and everything's paper, and they're like, I can't believe it. So it is it's a strike against your company, because those people are looking for their own careers. As Paul was talking about, these people, they're looking out for themselves, and they're seeing that, companies that are adopting digital technologies more likely have better futures ahead of them than companies that don't. So,
right. I agree. I like that. Well, all right. We're getting about past the 30-minute mark. We don't want to make this too long. Paul, Russell, you guys got any last inputs?
I guess I do. My last words are really, you're hiring Gen Z people right now in your organization. I didn't even know Gen Z existed when I was hiring employees. So that's something new. And like Russell said, those employees who are coming into the workforce have worked on digital remote apps all their lives, frankly. I was at a restaurant here the other day, and there's probably a 3-year-old plugged into their mom's phone or dad's phone looking at some video with headphones on, right? You see it all the time. And so, surprisingly enough, for an industry that is innovative, that solves complex problems, we may be one of the slowest to adopt technology.
Yeah.
And I don't quite get it yet. I'm learning about it, but I'm encouraging everybody I talk to take the chance, team up with a digital service provider that you believe in and make it happen.
Nice. Yeah. And it especially when starting costs you nothing but a couple hours out of your day.
Yep.
And you learn quickly that you gain those hours back fast once you learn how to use the software in the system.
Yeah. I think the last thing I would add is if your company's having a hard time hiring people, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, this is something I want to do, but right now we're just too busy. And I'm like, that's the point. It's like, you're too busy, we can save you a substantial amount of time. So,
yeah. Oh, we left out we usually include that graphic with the stonemen, they're pushing you got square wheels, and somebody's say, hey, I got round wheel idea. And they say, sorry, we're too busy.
Right. Yeah.
All right, I think that'll sum it up for us, though. If anybody can go on sampleserve.com and start a free account and start uploading some data, planning projects, pushing it to a tablet if you have one. We have all kinds of instructions, how-to videos on the app. And also, this video will be up on our YouTube page, our LinkedIn page, and Facebook. It'll be up there permanently, so you can always go back, share it, watch it. Make sure you share with anybody you think this pertains to. And keep a lookout for more of these coming out in the future. So thank you for your time. I'm Joshua Paul with SampleServe. We have Russell Schindler and Paul Goodrow, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.